Hello, hello YouTubers, Joe Kersey here on March 20th, 2019 at 17:40 in the afternoon Eastern Daylight Time. And let the fun and nonsense begin. God bless us everyone. Today being March 20th, it is St. Cuthbert's Day on some liturgical calendars, at least in the Western Church. I don't even know if the Eastern Church celebrates St. Cuthbert. They probably don't. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. St. Cuthbert, as you know, is buried in Durham Cathedral. And I've spent many hours there attending communion and praying at his shrine. Note, praying at his shrine, not to him. I don't do this thing about saints as intercessors for us, to God. There's only one intercessor between God and myself, and that's Jesus Christ. And about the other half of the time, I just pray directly to God. So, each to his own religious and pious practices. But St. Cuthbert was quite the dude, you know. He was one of the prince bishops up there in Durham. And these guys rode out to battle with banners and they had flaming swords. And well, I don't know if their swords were flaming, but they're always depicted as having flaming swords. But before that, he had been one of the early practitioners and exponents of the Celtic way of monasticism in the north of England, and spent several years in various monasteries. He started in Ionia. He was with Aidan, and he was in Lindisfarne for a number of years. He was made Bishop of Lindisfarne, and then he was all, of course, when he died, they dragged him all over the place to keep the Vikings from stealing his body. I mean, he ended up down in Ripon. He was up, then they finally moved him up to Durham, which if you've ever go to Durham, you'll see it's basically short of modern day artillery. That's a pretty nearly impregnable position. It's right up there on the top of a cliff and a mountain. Big hill, anyway. Let's put it that way. Overlooking a river, so it's surrounded on three sides by water, and you've got the hill. So, it ain't an easy climb, even when you got sidewalks. Well, such as they are, or as they call them in England, pavements. Anyway, I got an email today from Durham Cathedral, and they were talking about all the neat things they're doing for St. Cuthbert's Day and weekend. Of course, lots of, their evening song, and they're doing a St. John's Passion, and then there's a pilgrimage from Chesterfield Street, which is I think it's about 9 miles out, and it starts at 9:30, and then that is at 2:30 in the afternoon, they'll end up in the central square there, and then they'll walk up the hill to the cathedral, and they'll have some sort of big hoo-ha either on the cathedral green or in the cathedral. Which makes you want to go buy a plane ticket. But right now, I don't know. Maybe I can do that next year. We'll see. The story's still ongoing over here at the Island of Peace. So what I was able to do, I was able to get a start on, after browbeating the New England Journal of Medicine, I was able to get my CME program out of them, and they emailed me a PDF of this, and then they sent me this, and which also included the answer sheet I can fill out. So, I mean, I've made a good start. I did 11 questions the first day, and I did 15 questions a day. There's a good chance I'll get this done. This is Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday. I'll still want to get this thing done by Saturday, without any major disruption. There was a bit of a pleasant disruption yesterday, and quite unexpected too. Now you might want to put the dogs and kids away on this one. Then you might want to put the dogs and kids, let's say under the age of 14, so under the age of 13. You might want to put them away. I mean, the dogs too. I don't know how dogs tolerate this kind of stuff, because they sense their owners get uptight, and that makes the dogs get uptight, and then that gets everything unpleasant. That's why I would say dogs and kids. A fellow I met back in 2014, in fall of 2014, and I met him off Craigslist. He approached me. And now he's in his early 30s. He was in his late 20s then. And, you know, he came up then, and okay, fine. Then he never came back, but we emailed back and forth for a while. And then I didn't hear anything from him for about 2.5 years. Then about 6 months ago, I heard from him, and then didn't hear anything from him again. Then this yesterday morning, I'm here. I'm trying to do my questions, trying to be a good boy, and he says, "Can he come up?" I said, "Well, yeah, come on up." Of course, there's always a requisite exchange of internet. How should we say? Well, internet items. It's just like, so he comes up and we chat, and we have a little interlude, and then we chat some more, and then off he goes. I hope I see him again. He's a nice guy. He's a very smart guy, and he's very clever, and he's had he's been dealt a bit of a shit hand in life. Just say he's had major back surgeries, which I'm not going to detail. But any other person that had these kinds of things done to them would be truly a cripple. They'd be wheelchair bound. And he's not. He keeps soldiering on. Yeah. And I mean, he's really sharp, and he loves dogs, which right there, that puts him about 18 notches up in my book, if you like dogs, you know. Even better if he didn't like cats. I don't know if he didn't like cats or not. I don't like cats, but as long as they're not shitting in my house or in my house, that's fine. They can wander around outside my house, but I don't have anything to do with them otherwise. They're great in the pole barn. They kill all the sparrows that crap on the trucks. Anyway, so that kind of slowed me down from doing my CME. But I made a good fist at it today. I did 15 more questions, so did 3 hours of it, and 3 more hours on it. Well, 3.5 hours. I can do anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours a day on this, and so it's got to be done. You know, got to keep that medical license. You know, got to keep my high license. I really don't actively practice in the sense of, you know, like, here's my office, come on in and I'll see you. But I do enough that, you know, it was borderline medical practice. I'm going to keep my license. You know. A lot of people at church, I give so much advice at church, it just astounds me when I sit back down and try to think about it. And with this stuff, it helps keep me up to date. You know, I mean, that's the whole point of this. You know, so if somebody tells you some sort of mudipsimab or plazumab or imalube or something, you have at least you've heard it, you've read it. You know, you have an idea of how to go find out more about it. For them, so. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, it is. I mean, you know, it's an interesting field. You know, my dad's, you know, when I bucked like a bay steer and said I didn't want to go into medicine, my dad said, well, why not? Says, you're smart enough to do it. You can do it and you'll make good money. Okay, I guess case closed. And it's interesting. I mean, you know, and then he also said at the end, you know, and it's interesting. And it is interesting. You know, he had me up there cutting up squirrels on the back porch after he went hunting, you know, so. Got to learn anatomy somehow, you know. It's close enough. Maybe not for the head and neck anatomy, but it's close enough. I used to go over to the medical school 2 in the morning to the anatomy labs, and they had tanks with heads in them, you know. And the thing about anatomy, period, is that it's variable. Although 70–80% of it's pretty standard, but head and neck is very, very varied. I mean, you got to see a few of these things set out around you. So at 2 in the morning, you're in there, and of course the windows are dark and the hall's dark, and you've got the overhead fluorescent lights on, you know, and you've got these 7 heads lined up on the table in front of you, so you can, you're on a chair with rollers, and you can unwrap the head and take a look at what you're interested in, and then you throw the rag back on, because the rag's got formalin on it. You got to keep these things moist. You don't want them to dry out. They're bad enough when they're moist, but they're horrible when they dry out. Oh, wait a minute! I got to check it again. I like to do it at 2 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning because there wasn't anybody else there. I didn't care if it was scary. Yes, it was scary, frankly. But this is on the university campus, so I mean, you know, it's night at the university campus. You know, once you step outside the building, go back to your apartment. You know, there's all sorts of nasty things. You know, there ain't gonna be anything nasty happen to you in the anatomy lab unless you fall into one of the vats. How do we get on that? How did we get on that? Well, I got my alumni magazine the other day, and it's called, well, I won't read it to you, but I'm going to show you this picture. Let's see, I'm going to, here. What do you think that is? Right off here, you have like 5 seconds. What do you think that is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus you got all that bonus time where I was trying to figure out how to say it. Well, it's what women want. And this individual, Nancy Kramer, knows, apparently. And I guess she's connected with the Ohio State University. I like the little, I thought, when I first glanced at that, I thought they were sausages, you know, like they were going to sell, they'd wrap these sausages somehow for football games. No, these aren't sausages. These are tampons. Or as one of our great Lebanese resident there, surgery resident, said, Mahdi El Kamas, God bless him. Mahdi El Kamas said, he was a junior surgery resident at the time. And we had a senior surgery resident whose name was, I am not making this up. This is not meant funnily in terms of the name, but that was her name. Well, I won't tell you her name, but her first name was Bonnie. Her last name ended with an animal's name that likes to chew on trees and knock them down and make dams with them. I'm not making this up. And it turns out she was also then turned out to be a lesbian years later. Well, I don't know, not years later, but she was out years later. All right, so we were making rounds with this guy that was a really good surgeon, but he was boring us all get out, and he never did any teaching. It's it was always like Friday night, or it was getting toward night. I mean, it was like 5, 7, 8 at night. So Bonnie says finally, Dave, I have to go. And he goes, Dave was so disingenuous. Hell, he's even more disingenuous than I am. So why is that? He goes, Dave, I've got to go change my tampon. I don't know if she had a free dispenser where she was going or not, which is what this is about. But off she went. And so then, then we make rounds. And then at the end of rounds, Marty, God bless Marty, he had one of these great there were two residents of these great big thick Mount Blanc pens, that were about the size of if you're giving somebody a big thick one, and with a nib that's about the size of a small shovel, like if you gave your child a miniature tool set, the shovel would look about that big, the nib on the pen. And he was that Dave. That Dave, he makes me so goddamn mad. He says, I know, I can't tell if I'm making him sound like one of the Koreans or not. Anyway, but he says, I can't go have my period. I can't go have my period. I can't go change my tampoon on rounds. Bonnie gets to go change her tampoon on rounds. That's the way he pronounced it. That's why I remember the story. Because of the way he voiced it. And he just went on and on about tampoons. I don't have a tampoon. I can't change my tampoon. I have to stay through rounds. She gets to go run off and change her tampoon. And by the way, as he did point out, she did not come back. She was so good, she got away with that stuff. Which proves my point about if you're really, really good at what you do, most of the time they're not going to touch you. Anyway, so we have free, Ohio State began providing free menstrual support products in many restrooms. And then, then let's see, in 1977, she, as a 1977 graduate, I guess this Kramer individual, created the Free the Tampons Foundation. Okay. With the belief that every restroom outside the home should provide such items. Well, there's a case that can be made for that. I saw my mother, when she was having, she had a head injury, and I was taking her home from Traverse City. I mean, the kindness of women in women's bathrooms. Oh yeah. Kindness of strangers. Love thy neighbor. Care for the widows and the orphans. Then there's the thing about when she went to Apple and she saw tampons in the women's restroom. And, then she did a little self-searching about why don't all restrooms have these things. Okay. So, and then she talks about New York City. Well, of course, New York City, they would just start calling that the Soviet Republic of New York City with Bill de Blasio up there. Anyway, fine. I don't have a problem with this, but I just, here's the best part of it in a way. Now it says, more than 90 bathrooms on campus now have free access to the products. 90 bathrooms. Now listen, Ohio State University's Central Campus is a huge, think how many bathrooms are on there. And think if they wanted to supply every bathroom with jam rags, how much that would cost. And the non-profit activist group, and it's called Period. I'm not making this up, period. Capital, period. You gotta love the people that come with these acronyms. Petitioning to expand the initiative to every building. The group also advocates for an end to sales taxes on menstrual products, and I will agree with them on that. I mean, this is, don't charge sales tax on food. Don't charge sales tax on jam rags. Don't. That's just not right. But the reason of course, most of the reason I'm even mentioning this is I don't necessarily disagree with it. Is I just get a kick out of the whole style and marketing campaign that goes on with it. I mean, it's not quite as bad as the football team. It's not quite as bad as all of that. Make, do, fuss, lie out your ass stuff involving the athletics teams. But it's very close to that. Nonetheless, I'm going to give them $2,000 more here next week for 2 scholarship runs. I guess they haven't driven me away yet. Okay, let's see. I finished watching Game of Thrones up to the end of season 7, and I was surprised. I hadn't paid any attention to this thing all the time it was on. Nothing. Well, I thought, I was looking on Couch Tuner, this free watch TV site on the internet that tries to put all sorts of crap on your computer, but my 2 malware programs keeps it off. I thought I was looking at it. I was hooked. I think I mentioned this before. There's none of this. Now, having said, and what I said earlier, that wasn't some sort of religious metaphor or analogy. But just out of the blue, I think it was in season 5 or season 4, you have this cult. This religious fanatic cult. I mean, choose your favorite. Choose your favorite Christian religion, and because obviously it was aimed as a mockery of Christian religion, as opposed to pagan religions, which of course is what it was. They weren't mocking the pagans; they were mocking the Christians. And so they actually dragged that on about 2 years. And some of that stuff wasn't narratively connected to other parts of the show. Okay, that's fine. I mean, they had their fun with it. Attacks on Christians sell, doesn't it? Speaking of which, at my high school, the high school from which I graduated in 1969, Lebanon, Ohio High School, suspended a girl for running around the school putting, the mimeograph, well, not mimeograph, that shows my age, mimeograph, copied Bible verses on the walls. And she was doing this in response to some sort of, pro-gay, straight alliance thing or some damn thing. I mean, I clearly wouldn't be on her side as far as what she was trying to drive at, but certainly if she wanted to go have, run around and have her say, I have no problem with that. But of course, the school administration did. And so they did one of these in-school suspensions. It's almost like the re-education camps that in the Red Guards there during the Cultural Revolution in Communist China. I wonder if you had to stand up on a desk and recite the 4 wrongs or something. Yes, I graduated from that school in 1969. So I sent them an email. I said, look, So I'm a 1969 graduate of this school, looking to see if I can attend my 50th anniversary, reunion this September. And I'm a gay man, and I'm a practicing and believing Christian. And I think you made a big mistake in suspending this young woman for trying to have her say. Thugs. No, not thugs and they're black people. No, thugs and that the two white administrators did it. But thugs in any case, because of their behavior. Shameful, shameful, shameful. Okay, well, I got some food over there I could eat, and got a pot of tea here. It's always 6, so I may try to stay up a little bit longer and, well, watch some more nonsense. I may start rewatching Breaking Bad again. Because I can only do these questions for so long. I can't, I think you can tell I can't just seriously think about stuff right now. So on that note, I will say I'm sorry. I haven't caught up with a lot of the folks I watch, and I will. I got to do my taxes yet. So I mean, there's always going to be that basically 6-week gap in March where I'm not doing stuff. Well, March, hanging off either end. So, yeah, well, again, like I said, I got surprised yesterday. So it was nice. But, I'm but no, it's fine. This isn't going to be like Sam, I like this guy, but I ain't going to fall in love with this guy. My mind is staying home with this one. I mean, I'm not, going like I did, which I still don't think was all that wrong, frankly. All righty, I'll say bye-bye, YouTubers.